Fortunately, Devian and Irwin were only slightly injured. They were alright after the doctor sterilized their wounds and applied some ointment. And Jaden was also not badly hurt. He just needed to be simply bandaged. Joanne, if you don't want to send them abroad, how about sending them to Ventura's? They'll be in kindergarten soon. There is an exclusive private kindergarten there. You can send them there to study. Ventura's is also close to Greenport. It's only an hour away by boat, and you can visit them every week. Let them take shelter for some time. After Bruce and Roxanne get married, he will probably forget it and won't disturb you. Pausing for a while, Jaden continued, Lilia still has not been exposed. You don't need to worry about her. Just let her stay by your side. Hearing that, Joanna looked at him with hesitation. Greenport and Ventura's were separated only by a sea. Although Ventura's were small, it was the only city in the country where gambling was allowed. The Grimm family was one of the top 3 gambling tycoons in Ventura's. But it's too close. I'm afraid it will be easy for Bruce to find them. Jaden smiled, gently put his arm around her shoulder, and comforted her, it doesn't matter. I can send someone to protect them. Don't worry. Besides, you can tell him the children are abroad. When things calm down, you can bring them back. Alright, then I'm gonna arrange it. Okay, thank you, Joanna said. Mommy, where are we going? You are old enough to go to kindergarten. Soon, you will be a big boy and begin to study. We get it, the kid answered. The next day, Jaden drove Joanna and the 2 little boys to the dock to take a boat. They prepared to take them to Ventura's. Roxanne also went home tiredly. As usual, Gavin took her to the city on a motorcycle. Then she would take a taxi to the designated place and ask the driver to pick her up. The main reason they went to all this trouble was to keep it secret. She was also afraid of being photographed with Gavin. The motorcycle just drove past Jaden's car. Coincidentally, Joanna was looking out of the window. Suddenly, she saw the woman on the motorcycle, who resembled Roxanne very much from The Ads by Pub Future. Back. Although the woman was wearing a helmet, her figure looked exactly like Roxanne's. Well, look at that person. Is that Roxanne? Jaden was driving. He slammed on the brake and glanced in the rear view mirror. Looks a bit like her from the back. They couldn't see the person clearly. But just then, the motorcycle suddenly stopped. Gavin got off, and Roxanne followed. They took off the helmets. Gavin kissed Roxanne's cheek again and again. Obviously, he was intimate with her. Now, Joanna could recognize the woman. It was exactly Roxanne. It looked like she had an affair with this man. Oh, sure enough, it's Roxanne. Bruce is really a cuckold, Jaden scoffed. Joanna frowned and said, maybe they are just friends. Jaden sneered, Joanne, you don't understand men. In this case, they couldn't be just friends. Jaden stopped short in the middle of the sentence. He couldn't show his true nature. Take a photo and send it to Bruce or the media. Hearing that, Joanna hurriedly stopped him and said, no. Don't do this. Why? I don't want to hurt her. Joanna knew that if the photo was sent to the media, Roxanne's life would be ruined. She knew the feelings of being cyberbullied. That was terrible. Joanne, you don't want to hurt her, but she can hurt you. Joanna let out a sigh. Anyway, she is my sister. 6 years ago, she failed to marry Bruce. It was my fault. I owe her, so I can cut her some slack. I hope she can conduct herself well. Alright, it's up to you. Jaden stepped on the gas pedal again, and the car sped away. At Haynes' house. After some twists and turns, Roxanne finally returned home with a tired body. She stayed out all night yesterday. Because of Gavin, her legs were still trembling now. Ingrid was having breakfast. Seeing her daughter was back, she walked over with a smile. Roxy, you finally come back. Roxanne said in a languid voice, Mom, I'm gonna go upstairs and take a shower first. Ingrid grinned and asked, tell Mom why you stayed out last night. Did you sleep with Mr. Everett? Hearing that, Roxanne looked away in dismay. Mom, don't be gossipy. I'll take a shower first. Fine, fine. Go ahead. You are finally enlightened, my silly daughter. I told you that you should make the first move when you have to. Before Ingrid finished speaking, Roxanne had run upstairs. Ingrid saw her daughter was in low spirits. Her legs were weak and they couldn't even come together. There were also hickeys on her neck. Obviously, she'd had a wild night. But Ingrid was very happy because she thought Roxanne had spent the night with Bruce. She would be furious if she knew her daughter was sleeping with a poor guy for the whole night. Soon, the children were ready for kindergarten. All the admission procedures were also in order. The students in this kindergarten were all from rich families. Apart from money, you also need connections to go to this kindergarten. Of course, everything here was top end, and the tuition cost hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. The secrecy was also very excellent. Even the paparazzi couldn't get information on the kids. After settling Devian and Irwin down, Joanna felt more reassured. She returned to Greenport the same day. Ventura's was the Grimm family's place. She thought Bruce wouldn't find there too soon. Joanna went home. It was getting late. It was already 9 o'clock at night. Without the 2 little guys, the big house suddenly became quiet. After Joanna had changed her clothes and disinfected her whole body, she went to see her daughter. Lilia was lying quietly on her pink bed. Because she didn't see the sun all year round, her skin was stunningly pale. Lilia, Mommy is back. Lilia smiled sweetly at Joanna. Mommy, where are my brothers? Joanna gently brushed her daughter's soft hair. Mommy sent them to kindergarten. They are big boys. It's time for them to study. When can I study? Hearing that, Joanna felt more sorry. She explained patiently, my dear Lilia, when you get well, you can study like your brothers. I see. It is time to take medicine, dear. Joanna took out a few pills and a variety of vitamin tablets. Yes, Lilia was obedient and was used to taking pills. She never cried, no matter how bitter the medicine was. Good night. Mommy is with you here. That's great. Lilia smiled sweetly and closed her eyes. Her eyelashes were long and her eyes looked like Joanna's. She looked like a cute little doll when she was sleeping. It was a great pity that such a lovely girl was disabled. She was not able to walk and couldn't even stand. When Lilia finally fell asleep, Joanna sighed and turned off the light, going out of her daughter's room without making any noise. Beep beep. The phone rang and gave her a fright. Joanna saw a strange number on the screen. Hello, Joanna. Where did you hide the children? It was Bruce. It was obvious that he was quite angry at present. Joanna replied in a brusque tone, what's wrong with you? They are my children and have nothing to do with your family. Don't disturb us anymore. I will sue you if you abduct the children again. Bruce swallowed and growled coldly. Tell me, where are the children? I have sent them to study abroad. Don't waste your time. Bruce explained, Joanna, Grandma is getting old. She just wants to see the children. I'm sorry, but I'm under no obligation to meet your request. She knew that if the children went to see Margaret, they would be forced to stay there. She knew how shrewd Margaret was. She would not release them easily. Bruce was lost for words. Being upset, he said, Joanna, you have 1 day left. You will be screwed if you don't take the children. To see her, beep, Joanna directly hung up the phone without saying anything. On the other end of the line, seeing Joanna hang up the phone, Bruce was very angry. No one had ever hung up on him. Beep beep, beep beep. Then Bruce made a dozen phone calls in succession but were all hung up by Joanna. Ads vibe up future. The more she hung up, the more he called. Finally, a voice came from the other end of the line. Sorry, the number you dialed is off. Please redial later. Joanna, you just wait and see. Bruce gasped with anger. Andy, get the word out right now that the Haynes Group is about to be acquired. Within 2 days, let the Haynes Group's shares fall below the daily limit. Yes, sir. Crack. The cell phone was slammed to the ground and its screen was shattered. The next day, the news that the Haynes Group was facing bankruptcy and was about to be acquired quickly made headlines on the financial boards. Chapter 32. The news rattled many investors. Soon after, the Haynes Group stock fell sharply. Seeing this, many small investors began to sell their shares of the Haynes Group. Just in one day, the Haynes Group lost hundreds of millions of dollars in market value. At this rate, the Haynes Group would soon face the risk of being delisted. In the Haynes Group, Miss Haynes has not come to the company for 3 days. Will the company go bankrupt? Have you seen the financial news today? The company is going bankrupt. Will Miss Haynes run away with the money? If it goes on like this, it would be impossible to become one of the world's top 500 enterprises. We need to figure out how to keep the company afloat first. She is just blowing hot air. With Mr. Grimm on her side, she's not afraid at all. But it's not gonna work out for us. If the company goes bankrupt, I don't know how to support the whole family. Yeah, she overreaches herself. I can't believe she has signed the valuation adjustment mechanism with Mr. Everett. Now, before the contract expires, she will be screwed. She didn't come to the company these days. I guess she is too afraid to come. Fieldflow Enterprises. See, there's been a lot of negative news about her these days. What a jinx she is. Some employees were in a heated discussion. Just then, Joanna appeared unexpectedly behind them. An intern on the other side saw her first, and his face turned pale. He lowered his head and said, Hello, Miss Haynes. Other people also hurried back to their posts. You guys don't need to come tomorrow. What? Why? They looked at each other. Miss Haynes, according to the labor contract, if you want to lay us off, you have to give 1 month's notice. Besides, you should give us unemployment benefits. Yeah, even Mr. Haynes cannot fire us easily. Why do you lay us off? Don't worry, I will give unemployment compensation to each of you following legal procedures. Joanna added, Go to the finance department to settle this month's salary. I will ask the lawyer to check the unemployment compensation, and it will be sent to your wage card. Seriously, they were shocked and couldn't believe it. They didn't expect Joanna to be so decisive and fire them so quickly. Cora, here's the layoff list. People on the list don't have to come here tomorrow. Got it, Miss Haynes. There were a dozen people on the list. All of them were Ingrid's relatives and confidants. These people didn't bring many benefits to the company. Besides, they often spread rumors and slandered Joanna behind her back. Therefore, she had to get rid of these people no matter how much it took. Soon, those who had been fired called Ingrid to complain. Knowing that her trusted followers were all fired, Ingrid was angrier. Damn, Joanna has fired 6 of my cousins. She is so cruel. Ingrid cursed Joanna while crying, and she punched Sean from time to time. Sean kept smoking without saying a word. Sean, see what your daughter did. If you don't do anything to her, she's gonna be more rampant. Sean drew on his cigarette and sighed. What can I do? That rebellious girl disrespects me. Will she be polite to your people? You're such a wimp. You're her father, and you can't even control your own daughter. I think you should hold a press conference and sever ties between father and daughter with her. Sean slapped his thigh and said with a wry face, Hey, let's not bring something like this to the press. Isn't it disgraceful? Enough. Besides, even if I'm not the chairman, our family still has a lot of savings and so many side businesses. We can still live our lives. Ingrid snapped back, How is that the same? Haynes Group is a family business and has managed to get on track to become a listed company. However, something big like it has fallen into others' hands, easily now. I will not tolerate it. So what? My father can give his inheritance to anyone. Come on, who would give his inheritance to his granddaughter instead of his son? If I had known you were such a coward, I would never have married you. Sean sighed and shook his head in frustration. He would not have betrayed his family if not for Ingrid seducing him back then. Sean had just married Joanna's mother and was on their honeymoon back then. However, Ingrid seduced him. He only wanted to have a little fun with her, but Ingrid got pregnant after that. Moreover, Ingrid went straight to Joanna's mother and told the latter that she was pregnant with Sean's baby. Joanna's mother had a bad temper. She left the Haynes residence and was determined to get a divorce without a second thought. Ads vibe up future. In hindsight, Sean really felt sorry for Joanna's mother. However, he had no choice but to marry Ingrid. Darling, I don't care. You have to seek an explanation for my 2 cousins. My cousin has been in the company for nearly 20 years. If you fire him now, how can he live his life in the future? Sean sighed before replying, I'll call Joanna and ask what's the situation now. Beep, beep. Sean had no choice but to bite the bullet and make a phone call to Joanna. Hello, Dad. What's up? Joanna answered the phone. Joanne, I have you laid off a dozen old employees. Is that true? On the other end of the line, Joanna hesitated for a few seconds before saying, Yes, Dad. These people are the company's old employees who have worked in the company for more than 20 years. How can you fire them just like that? Joanna said calmly, Dad, these people don't work seriously. Besides, their positions are important. The new elites have no suitable job arrangement, which will only drag the company's development. Joanne, I'm not being harsh to you, but you can't be so cruel. These people are MDM. Lo's relatives have worked with me for 20 years. Call them now and let them all go back to work. I'm sorry. These people have been fired, and it's impossible to ask them to come back. Chapter 33, Joanne. If there's nothing else you want to discuss, I'm hanging up. Then, Joanna hung up the phone. Sean was very upset and scolded, That girl sure is cruel. You, see, I've told you so. This woman is trying to make life miserable for us. If she doesn't give us an easy time, you mustn't. Chu agency, digital marketing, creative, design and production. Give her an easy time too. Hold a press conference tomorrow and sever ties with her. Let's see if she can stay in report after that. The next day, the shares of Haynes Group hit rock bottom again as soon as the market opened. At this rate, the company would no longer be able to survive within a few days. At that moment, James and Luca could not sit still anymore, and they rushed to the company. Miss Haynes, the stock prices have fallen so much. What should we do? That's right. Haynes Group's share price has never had such a dramatic decline since it became a listed company. At this rate, Harrison Group may come crashing down. Don't worry, I'll think of something. Joanna thought it was abnormal for the stock price to fall so badly all of a sudden. Then, she immediately came to a realization. She thought Bruce had to be the one scheming it. Joanna had no choice but to call Bruce in the early morning. Looking at Joanna's caller ID, Bruce smirked. Then, he answered the call lazily. What? Can't resist calling me so soon. When Joanna heard that, she was even more certain that he was to blame. Plus, agitated, she couldn't help screaming into the phone. Bruce, is there any point in doing this? Don't forget that you have shares in Haynes Group too. On the other end of the line, Bruce sneered, I don't care. I can afford to lose a little money. Can you not do dirty tricks? If you want to compete, we can compete fair and square. Don't you think it's despicable to do something behind people's backs? Thanks for the compliment. I'm despicable just like that. I can even do something more despicable. Do you want to try it? You. Joanna gritted her teeth in anger. How's it? Have you thought about it yet? Bruce's tone was full of all aggression and arrogance. Bruce, can you stop messing around? You have to differentiate between business and personal matters. If you're dissatisfied with me, we can solve it privately. Don't mess with the business. Bruce sneered and drawled, stop pointing fingers if you don't have any proof. What did I do? What does the plummeting of Haynes Group's shares have to do with me? Infuriated, Joanna took a sharp breath and clenched the phone. What the hell do you want? What do I want? Isn't it clear to you? Joanna roared into the phone. I'm telling you that there's no way it's going to happen. The child has already gone abroad and is unlikely to return soon. And, for the record, the child has nothing to do with you and the Everett family. We are all adults. Please, don't resort to this underhanded tactic. Bruce stuck his tongue out. Are you angry? Joanna was rendered speechless by his response. I'll be damned if I'm not. She cursed in her mind. A wicked grin broke out on Bruce's face as he spoke deliberately in a rascal tone. I just love it when you're pissed off but can't get to me. Bruce burst out into laughter after saying that. Joanna rolled her eyes in annoyance. She would have killed him 100 times if the killing wasn't against the law. Do you want to stabilize the share price of Haynes Group? Joanna growled with exasperation as she thought. Do you really have to ask? Beg me then. Fine. I've had enough of this. Bruce, please don't do this again. Is this your way of begging? Fix your attitude before you talk to me. With that, Bruce hung up the phone. He felt slightly better for being able to vent out his frustration. Hello. Hey. Hello. Joanna called a few times before she realized that the call had been disconnected. Joanna, seething with rage, immediately called him again. Ads vibe up future. Bruce saw that Joanna's call had come in again, and he knew that she was anxious and angry. He raised his brow and ended the call. Again, this damned woman had the nerve to hang up on me the day before yesterday. I want you to know the price of hanging up on me and how frustrating it is when someone deliberately does not answer the phone, he grumbled inwardly. Ring. The phone kept vibrating. Bruce didn't answer on purpose, but he didn't switch his phone off either. He loved the feeling of leaving her hanging. Right then, Andy came to the office to deliver some documents. Noticing that the phone kept vibrating, he couldn't help but remind Bruce, Mr. Everett, the phone is ringing. Aren't you going to answer it? Bruce took the documents and replied indifferently, let it ring. I will pick it up when this damned woman calls 100th. He was convinced that Joanna would do nothing but call him today. After all, the market value of Haynes Group had shrunk by nearly $300 million in 2 days. Nobody could sit still after such shocking development. Joanna continued dialing Bruce another 4 or 5 times, but the latter still didn't pick up the phone. Joanna gulped and put away the phone. Cora, hold a press conference tomorrow. Please make preparations for it. Okay, Miss Haynes. Now she had to redeem the public image of Haynes Group and spread the news of their partnership with Chi Technologies at the same time. Regardless, for the time being, she had to reassure the investors that everything would be alright. With that in mind, Joanna took out her phone and called Jaden. Jaden quickly answered, Hi, Joanne. Jay, I'm ready to take your advice on packaging myself. I'm holding a press conference tomorrow. I'll appreciate it if you can lend me a helping hand. Jaden's soft laugh was heard over the phone. Finally, I told you a long time ago, a desirable image is needed for both yourself and the company. You can rest assured that I will arrange everything beforehand for you. You will only need to bring up your most confident smile in front of the camera. Sure, thank you, Jay. Please excuse me first. I'll call the public relations officers and set up reception. Alright. After hanging up the phone, Joanna went to the bathroom. She washed her face with cold water and heaved a long sigh. Then, she started practicing her smile in the mirror. Deep down, she wasn't a confident person. She was going to face a number of media interviews tomorrow. She had to show the best and most confident side of herself. Bruce was surprised to receive no call from Joanna after 20 minutes. He scratched his chin. He thought that the phone might be dead. He turned on the screen and saw the battery level at its maximum. I can't believe this damned woman has such patience. Bruce furrowed his brow and muttered to himself, this is impossible. Haynes Group has lost over $300 million of its market value in the last couple of days. I don't believe that she isn't worried. I'm sure she will come begging to me in no time. Another hour had passed, and Bruce still didn't receive any calls from Joanna. Bruce scratched his forehead and suddenly felt a little bored. He'd never been so distraught while waiting for someone to call him. Soon, another 2 hours had passed, and the phone was still silent. Well, that darn woman show has composure. Bruce suddenly felt agitated. He had always been good at guessing others' thoughts. However, Joanna proved to be an exception. For example, in the case of their divorce, he thought Joanna wouldn't be able to cope. He thought she would pester him non-stop and complain sullenly. As it turned out, she left like it was not a big deal. She left without even making a scene. She cut contact completely, never pestered him, nor threw a tantrum. However, it was precise because of this attitude that he found it hard to let go of her. Bruce smoked 2 cigarettes in a row. His throat felt parched. Meanwhile, his handsome face darkened. He couldn't take it anymore. He took out his phone and took the initiative to call Joanna. Ring. Joanna's phone started to ring. It was a pity that Joanna missed the call as she was still in the bathroom, practicing facial management and body movements. Ring. The phone was still not connected. Hello. The person you've dialed is currently unavailable. Damn. Bruce cursed. With a bang, the phone slammed to the ground. This damned woman. How dare she not answer my call? Bruce cursed in his mind. Andy frowned upon seeing this. He picked up the phone, whipped out the SIM card, and replaced it with another phone. This was the fifth phone that Bruce had broken this month. No wonder people say that the rich can do whatever they want. Andy thought to himself. Andy, notify Wall Street Financial Market.to block Haynes Group. Noted. By the way, I just got the news that Miss Haynes is holding a press conference tomorrow. There might be an announcement. Bruce gulped and scowled deeply. What? Joanna is holding a press conference? Yes. When did you get the news? Just now. Haha. What is this damn woman up to this time? Bruce let out a wild laugh and quirked his brow. Ads vibe up future. He had nice eyebrows. Both were well-groomed, thick, and heavy. He looked poised when he raised his eyebrows. He looked elegant when he was at ease. It was a pity that his venomous tongue had ruined his image. Meanwhile, in the Haynes residence, Roxanne was surprised by the news from the press. Look at this, Mom, she added. Joanna is holding a press conference tomorrow. I wonder what she's going to announce. Chapter 35. Ingrid took a peep at the news and swore, this bitch show is getting more and more capable. A press conference, huh? Just in time. Tomorrow, ask your uncle and the staff who had been laid off to have a protest in front of their company during the press conference. Get 2 more people to stir up the scene. Splash her with feces and make her look like a pig. The next day, the venue of the press conference held by Grimm Group was well decorated. Grimm Group had temporarily allowed Joanna to hold the press conference in their office building. All the invited press were personally arranged by Jaden. Those unscrupulous press and undesirable parties were all shunned away. I heard that Haynes Group is going under. I wonder if the news is true. It should be true. The shares of Haynes Group have fallen so much in the last couple of days. Then, is Miss Haynes going to announce the bankruptcy in this press conference? Quite possibly. I heard Mr. Everett has siphoned off funds from Haynes Group. Besides that, Haynes Group has laid off many of its employees. This month, I heard that Haynes Group is going to be taken over by another company. A reporter sighed. I've said that she's not capable enough. I didn't expect that she would lead the company into bankruptcy in less than 2 months after taking charge. Who cares? The news is going to hit the headlines tomorrow. Early in the morning, Bruce turned on the TV to see what Joanna was up to. The venue's live broadcast had been prepared for a long time. At 9 o'clock, there was a commotion outside as a limousine pulled slowly into the parking lot of Grimm Group's building. Some media reporters who didn't get invited could only wait patiently downstairs. Hurry up, here comes Miss Haynes. The reporters swarmed over. Fortunately, the scene had already been fenced, and a large number of security guards were also standing guard to maintain order. Rolls-Royce stopped. Jaden got out of the car first before he gentlemanly helped Joanna out. Joanna smiled then, waved to the crowd. Wow, is that Miss Haynes? The entertainment journalists almost couldn't recognize her. She looked so beautiful. I thought she was an artist recently scouted by Starlight Media. Click, click, click. The flash went wild. Joanna was wearing a white dress today. A delicate makeup had been put on her fair countenance. Her pair of iridescent eyes were glistening. Her hairstyle was sleek and elegant. Normally, Joanna looked quite bleak in front of the public. She always wore black-rimmed glasses without any makeup or hairstyling, and she didn't usually put on heels. Her plain attires had dimmed her beauty and hampered her true temperament to shine. Now that she had taken off her glasses and dressed up properly, her beauty instantly dazzled the eyes of the whole report. Wow, Miss Haynes is so beautiful. Joanna seemed to be glowing in front of the camera. She was beautiful, confident, and elegant. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this press conference. There are 3 main announcements for the near future. The first is about getting through the legal process concerning my granddad's estate. I will officially take over as chairman of Haynes Group. Secondly, I would like to clear up the recent rumors of the bankruptcy of Haynes Group. Next month, Haynes Group and Chi Technologies will officially join hand in hand and become partners. Please continue to support us. Third, some say that Haynes Group has taken a stake in Starlight Media. This is all a misunderstanding. Although Mr. Grimm and I are very good friends, our business philosophy is different from each other. So, as for now, we have no business dealings. Very. Click, click, click. The flashes flickered. All the lenses were focused on Joanna. Even the ever-mean-looking Admira Media gave compliments on Joanna's beauty. Miss Haynes, you're so beautiful. Are you interested in joining the entertainment industry? Joanna smiled gracefully toward the camera. Nice joke. I'm more than content if Haynes Group would flourish. Excuse me, when are you and Mr. Grimm getting married? That's personal. I can't answer it right now. Joanna had been non-committal about her affair with Jaden over the years. After all, she still needed Jaden as her patron at the moment. Of course, the partnership was a two-way street. With her title as Mr. Everett's ex-wife, she would automatically be dragged into the limelight. That way, she could bring more attention to Jaden's film and television company. Mr. Grimm, when are you going to propose to Ms. Haynes? Jaden smiled, looked lovingly at Joanna, and said in a half-earnest and half-in-jest manner, that depends on when she's okay with that. If she wants to marry me now, I can propose immediately. Wow, that's sweet. Propose now. The reporters cheered. Joanna smiled bashfully and turned to Jaden. She made an eye gesture to him not to let the press digress in this direction. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Jaden gazed soulfully at Joanna. His demeanor indicated that he did not just throw out a joke. You two even have your babies. So you'd better hurry up and get married. Don't forget to invite us to your wedding too. Joanna couldn't look Jaden in the eye again and quickly withdrew her gaze. I'm not going to answer any questions about this topic outside of work. As you know, my grandfather has just died, and I am still mourning. Marriage will not be in my plan for the upcoming 3 years. I hope everyone will stop asking. After the reporters heard that, they stopped probing. After all, they need to respect someone who was mourning her loss. Jaden listened and suddenly felt a little despondent. He had met countless women in his life, be it an innocent girl or a coquettish seductress. He was finally tired of love hunting. He had an open mindset and didn't mind that Joanna would be in her second marriage and have 3 children. Sadly, Joanna always used this excuse to turn him down. Jaden quickly put aside his inner turmoil and smiled. I will stop hogging the limelight now and leave the press conference to Miss Haynes. Ads by Pub Future. With that, Jaden smiled politely and headed off stage. Chapter 36. Meanwhile, outside of the camera, someone watched Joanna on TV. Bruce was smoking a cigarette before he stopped his movement in a daze. The cigarette in his hand burned right up to the end. He only snapped back to his senses when the butt burned his hand. He got up quickly and ditched the cigarette butt in the ashtray. Joanna was undeniably good looking. However, it was not until today that he realized, apart from her beauty, that she also carried a strong will and indomitable spirit. Nevertheless, it didn't lessen the disdain he felt for her. They say that a beautiful woman always carries a wicked heart. Isn't Joanna a good example? He thought to himself. HMPH. Seeing Joanna interacting with Jaden, Bruce turned off the TV indignantly. Even though they were divorced, he didn't want to see her get too close to other men. Halfway through the press conference, a ruckus erupted downstairs. Two middle-aged men brought in more than 10 people and started making trouble downstairs. Everyone was holding banners and shouting slogans. The new chairman of Haynes Group has made several families' lives difficult due to the sudden downsizing. Haynes Group is an image of greed and heartlessness. They do nothing but rip us off. Joanna, get out of Report. Joanna has no conscience at all. The guards stopped them and tried to disperse the crowd. The protesters shouted at the media. Some even harmed the security guards to the ground. Jaden frowned. Who's making trouble down there? It's a dozen ex-Haynes Group employees. They're not happy with being laid off, so they came here. And made trouble. Chairman of Haynes Group, please come out and give us an explanation. Don't be such a coward, you heartless bitch. Get out of Haynes. Get out of Report. Heartless being, you don't deserve to be a human. When the media saw this, they couldn't resist asking, Miss Haynes, how do you explain the layoffs? Joanna's face fell. She looked at the camera with a solemn expression. This layoff was done in accordance with the standard operating procedures of the company. Moreover, the personnel who have been laid off have all been compensated. Well, did those staffs make a mistake that led to their unemployment? Haynes Group wouldn't fire its employees without a valid reason. This layoff is, for one thing, an attempt to bring in new blood. Secondly, it's also a means to break through the company's trouble. Haynes Group has uncovered evidence of corruption, bribery, and job pocketing by certain individuals. I can promise before the media that the police are welcome to come in and investigate at any time. Some individuals definitely need to go through a thorough inspection and compensate for. Chapter 36. The damages they have inflicted on Haynes Group. Joanna asserted eloquently. She answered every question thrown at her by the media. She made her statement reasonably and incisively, without the slightest hint of panic. Joanna's statement was a big slap on Ingrid's face. Joanna saved Ingrid some dignity by not exposing her to the public. Her statement was meant to be a warning to Ingrid to behave herself. Ingrid broke into a cold sweat when she was watching the live. She realized she had underestimated Joanna. Press conference. For sure, she didn't want to get the police involved. She hurriedly took out her phone and called the two middle-aged people who were making trouble on the scene. The two middle-aged men were shouting slogans with their faces reddened when Ingrid's call came in. You guys should leave now. Why? Joanna is almost out. The feces are ready to roll as she walks out of the building. We are going to throw it at her. Ingrid's furious rant rang out over the phone. It's an order. I want you to get out of there immediately. The market won't be able to strike back if the ruckus continues. Whoa, alright then. We will leave. Let's go now. They didn't watch the live broadcast and had no idea what was going on. They were hoping to make a bigger scene. However, a phone call from Ingrid brought their actions to a halt. They dared not to disobey Ingrid and scurried off. After hanging up the phone, Ingrid's face contorted in anger. Joanna, you son of a bitch. I won't let you giddy on for long. Just, you wait. Those people were executives in various departments of the company. They were running amok in the company with Ingrid as their backup. If the police found out, not only would they go to jail, but they would also need to pay compensation to Haynes Group. Moreover, the reason why Ingrid was afraid of the police's investigation was that the two cousins she mentioned were not actually her cousins at all. Instead, they were her lovers. Ingrid always paid them a visit using the excuse of wanting to play cards with friends. Instead of playing Rolling Stones, they were rolling in the haze. Usually, suspicion would arise if a man and a woman traveled alone. However, people would stop walking when a woman traveled with more than one man. No one should underestimate the hunger of a mature woman. Ingrid had higher needs than Roxanne. Sean suffered from diabetes and a heart condition. Moreover, Sean didn't even work out. There was no way he could quench Ingrid's biological needs. Joanna looked even more stunning than a celebrity on TV. It didn't look like she was holding a press conference. This was clearly a demonstration. Roxanne was upset and felt more anxious than ever. Ever since Joanna came back, Bruce had been treating her more coldly. Mom, look at Joanna's smug face. Do something. Don't let her get so cocky. Ingrid swallowed heavily, snorted, and swore, relax. Let her think that she has had her way first. Her plummet awaits her in a couple of days. By the way, have you been in touch with Mr. Everett in the past 2 days? Roxanne's eyes darkened when she heard that. Bruce hadn't called her in 2 days. Roxanne sighed exasperatedly. Why the frustration? You should strike while the iron is hot. In case of any undesirable complication, the matter between you and Mr. Everett shouldn't be put off any longer. If we keep stalling, I don't know what's going to happen. Resignedly, Roxanne retorted with gritted teeth. What can I do? Surely, I can't beg him to marry me. Ingrid listened and poked her daughter in the forehead. You are so stupid, forget it. I'm so smart. Why did I give birth to such a stupid daughter? If you were half as good as I am, you wouldn't be so bad at dealing with a man for so long. Why don't you propose to him yourself since you're this tough? What's the use of blaming me here? Roxanne said and stormed upstairs. Look at yourself. You sure have a way when it comes to dealing with me. Ingrid rolled her eyes. I'll go propose to him myself. You're useless. You even need your mom to do something this trivial for you. Since Sean stepped down as chairman, the Haynes family seemed to have fallen out of the Greenport elite circle overnight. Besides that, the marriage of Bruce and Roxanne kept on getting postponed. Ingrid and Roxanne had been shunned out of the socialite gatherings. Now, if they still wanted to gain back their glory as one of the richest and elites, Roxanne would have to marry into the Everett family as soon as possible. All the ladies would definitely change their impressions of them if Roxanne successfully got married into the Everett family. Ingrid preened herself and decided to meet Bruce in person. She had decided to fight tooth and nail to keep Bruce as her son-in-law. Ingrid showed up downstairs at Everett Corporation after 1 hour. Ads by Pub Future. Her heart thumped as she looked at the towering skyscraper in front of her. This was the tallest and most luxurious business building in Greenport. Chapter 37. It was also where Bruce worked daily. Ingrid's heart beat with excitement whenever she envisioned her daughter being the lady boss here, in the future. Well, wait till my daughter gets married into the Everett family. Mrs. Paul, Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Roger, I will make you guys lick my feet. Ingrid fastened her sling bag and put on her sunglasses. Then, she strode confidently like a model into Everett Corporation's building. She was wearing a rose-red hugging dress today and a big little vintage ruffle hat. Although she was already in her 40s, her figure was well maintained, and she looked 10 years younger than her actual age. Everyone was stunned looking at the gorgeous and ostentatious woman. Ingrid was like a colorful butterfly that suddenly flew into a colorless world. Hold on, madam. No entry is allowed unless you are an employee of the company. The guard hurried over and stopped Ingrid. Ingrid raised her chin high and put her hands on her waist. She glared at the security guard. Well, is Mr. Everett in the office? I'm looking for him. The security guard was overpowered by Ingrid's domineering aura as he heard her. Seeing how she was dressed, he dared not to offend her further. Just a moment, madam. Then he paged the security manager. There's a lady in the lobby asking for Mr. Everett. The security manager saw Ingrid through the recording in the surveillance room and didn't dare to take things lightly. He immediately reported Ingrid's presence to Bruce's special assistant, Lily. Lily received the message and quickly came downstairs to greet Ingrid. Meanwhile, Ingrid was arguing with the manager downstairs. Do you know who I am? Do you recognize me? I'm sorry, madam. Outsiders cannot enter the group without an appointment. Please wait downstairs for a while. Let me tell you this. I just got off the phone with Mr. Everett. You don't recognize me, do you? I'm Mr. Everett's future mother-in-law. How dare you call me an outsider? Believe it or not, you'll be fired by tomorrow. The manager replied sheepishly. I believe you, madam. Please calm down. When Mr. Everett's assistant arrives, she'll take you up. Lily finally arrived and greeted politely. Hello, Mrs. Haynes, please follow me. Ingrid glanced at Lily and said in a sour voice, You're Mr. Everett's assistant. How come you are at? Woman. Lily shrugged slightly, not answering her question. Mrs. Haynes, this way, please. Do you have an appointment with Mr. Everett? I'm here to see my son-in-law. Do I still need an appointment? Mr. Everett is busy, and anyone would need an appointment to meet him. Why don't you hang on a second, and I'll report back. To Andy. Alright, please be quick. Chapter 37. Lily swiped her elevator card and took Ingrid to the 32nd floor. Meanwhile, in the office, Bruce was burying himself with work when Andy knocked on the door. Mr. Everett, Mrs. Haynes is here. Mrs. Haynes. Bruce was puzzled. Ems, Roxanne's mother. Bruce frowned slightly. What's she doing here? No idea. She was out there clamoring to see you. She said she was your mother-in-law, so Mark didn't dare to stop her and reported the incident to me. Bruce frowned and hesitated for a few seconds. He didn't want to meet Ingrid. However, she was an elder, after all. Perhaps she was here for an urgent matter. Let her in. All right, Mrs. Haynes, this way. Mr. Everett has agreed to meet you. Haha, I've told you so. You don't need an appointment to see your son-in-law. Ingrid exclaimed proudly and followed Andy into Bruce's office. Wow, it was the first time Ingrid had been here. To her surprise, the office was even more luxurious and atmospheric than she had imagined. Bruce's office occupied the whole floor. Not only was there a gym inside, but there was also a small golf course. TSK. Ingrid couldn't help but admire what she saw. She was flabbergasted to learn that someone had taken this much space for an office in a golden district like Report. What extravagance, she thought to herself. What a big office. It's such a waste. Andy smiled and said nothing when he heard that. After 5 minutes, Andy and Ingrid reached Bruce's working space. Hey, Mr. Everett. Oh no, Bruce. Mrs. Haynes, what brings you here? Bruce rose politely to his feet and greeted Ingrid. Ingrid came up to him with a big smile and said passionately, Oh, I have a shopping date with some of my girlfriends. I happened to pass by, so I thought I'd stop by and visit you. Bruce's frown deepened. Have a seat, please. Mrs. Haynes, would you like tea or coffee? Just coffee will do. Ingrid took a seat on the appeal leather couch. Across from her was a rosewood desk that spanned several meters long. Bruce perched back in his desk chair. Behind him was a glass bookcase that extended to the whole wall. Wow, what an opulent office. Ingrid couldn't help herself from glancing around. When she smiled, her cheeks puffed out on her face, which was pumped with hyaluronic acid. Her plump lips were crimson red like blood. Bruce glanced uncomfortably at Ingrid. He would be devastated. He almost wanted to throw up at the pungent smell of Ingrid's perfume. Bruce looked grim. Mrs. Haynes, is there anything I can help you with? Oh, it's nothing. I just came to see you, Ingrid said with a flirty smile while staring at Bruce intently. Bruce was really handsome. It was like his angular features were carved by God. Not only did he have a stunning countenance, but his physique was also comparable to international male models. He was literally oozing hormones all over. If Ingrid were 20 years younger, she would have pursued this handsome man. Bruce shuddered under Ingrid's intense stare and averted her gaze. Mrs. Haynes, if there's nothing else, I need to get back to work. Ingrid crossed her legs and rested her arms on the couch. She smiled. Bruce, I know it's important to make money, but you should also value your health. Why don't you join me for dinner at home after work today? You haven't been to our house in ads vibe up future ages. Ingrid propped herself up. She was wearing a low-cut top, and her bosoms were shown under the stretch of the fabric. Bruce quickly swept his eyes aside and said with a stilted voice, Well, I have a meeting tonight, so I don't have time. Perhaps next time. Bruce, no matter how busy you are, you still need to have your meals regularly. Take good care of yourself, especially since you are so busy these days. Okay, thank you. Well, I want to talk to you about your relationship with Roxy. Did you guys have a conflict in the last couple of days? Bruce was dumbfounded. No, Ingrid smacked her thigh and said with a smile, Well, it's normal for two young lovebirds to fight with each other. I've been through this kind of relationship dilemma before. Roxy hasn't been able to eat or sleep for 2 days. She has lost a lot of weight. As a man, you should take the initiative sometimes. You can't keep giving her the cold shoulder like this. Bruce frowned. Well, alright. Ingrid put on a serious expression and said earnestly, Bruce, you've been with Roxy for over 6 years. A woman's youth is only a few years. How many 6 years can one have in a lifetime? You guys are not young anymore. It's time to move to the next stage of life. Well, Bruce was thrown off guard by Ingrid's statement and didn't know how to respond to that. Honestly, if it hadn't been for Ingrid, he and Roxanne would have been married years ago. It was because of Ingrid that his grandmother didn't like Roxanne, which caused their marriage to be dragged on. After his divorce from Joanna, the whole report saw him as a laughingstock. With that, Margaret objected even more to his marriage to Roxanne. Ingrid sighed as Bruce stayed silent. She added, Our Roxy is waiting for you. Please don't let her down. You failed her before. Roxy can't stand the shock and has already harmed herself once. You can't let her down again. If anything happens to Roxy, I'm dead too. Baramus. With that, Ingrid's face changed instantly. She made a gesture of wiping her non-existent tears. Bruce frowned. Mrs. Haynes, don't worry. I won't let Roxy down. Ingrid smiled through tears when she heard Bruce's assurance. Bruce, I know you're a gentleman with a good conscience. You will never abandon your partner. Roxy was raised in a well-to-do family. She's nothing like those skittish women out there. Yeah, I understand. Then, I'll be heading off first. Andy, please escort Mrs. Haynes downstairs. Mrs. Haynes, this way, please. Ingrid stood up and wriggled away. The staff couldn't help but whisper to one another, my goodness. Is this Mr. Everett's mother-in-law? Why is she like that? Word is, she used to be Greypot's social butterfly. Geez, Roxanne looks so gentle, but I've never expected her mother to be so hot and boisterous. She certainly leads a charmed life. Let's get to work. The smell of perfume still permeated the air even after Ingrid left. Bruce pushed open a window to get some fresh air. He felt more agitated than before. He could admit that he had been snubbing Roxanne lately. However, he couldn't exactly pinpoint his feelings at the moment. Speaking of love, it seemed like he no longer felt passion toward Roxanne. However, they had been in a relationship for 6 years. He didn't want to be an irresponsible man. Roxanne had been waiting for him for 6 years. If he were to leave her now, she would be devastated. Besides, it was Roxanne who saved him from drowning 10 years ago. It seemed like he was obliged to promise her a marriage to repay her the favor. He knew it was kind of a cliché, but, at this moment, this was what was running through his mind. After much deliberation, he whipped out his cell phone and made a call to Roxanne. The phone started to ring. When Roxanne saw it was Bruce on the phone, she immediately picked it up. She squelched her throat and said, hello, Roxy. Yes, Bruce. Bruce paused for a few seconds and asked in a deep voice, are you free tonight? Roxanne's heart was racing with delight when she heard that. Bruce hadn't asked her out for a long time. Yes, I'm free. Let's have dinner tonight. Great. About what time? I'll pick you up at 8 o'clock. We are going to Blue Eva dinner. Remember to dress up. Sure, I'll see you tonight. See you tonight. The phone hung up, and Roxanne jumped for joy. Ingrid happened to be back. Seeing her daughter so happy, she sneered and asked, why are you so happy? Mom, Bruce just called me and asked me to dinner at the Blue Eva diner tonight. Mom, come and help me pick the right dress. Well, it's all thanks to me. I can only help you so far. The rest is up to you. Ingrid hummed. Roxanne was a little shocked. Mom, did you visit Bruce? So what if I did? Mom, you're so annoying. I told you not to go after Bruce. Don't snoop your nose into our business. How could I leave you guys alone? You definitely can't handle it by yourself. Look at you. You guys almost broke up. If I hadn't made my move, a random girl would have wooed Bruce away. Roxanne's excitement immediately disappeared when she heard this. It looks like Bruce didn't ask me out because he misses me, she thought to herself. That's enough. Hurry up and get dressed. You two have a good time tonight. Be more open being so reserved. Ingrid thought that her daughter was always good and shy. She had no idea that her daughter actually quite enjoyed having fun with men. Alright, regardless, Roxanne would never stand Bruce up. Thus, she went off to pick up her clothes. And stop. Ads vibe up future. However, even if they rummaged through the whole closet that was full of clothes, they still couldn't find the right dress for Roxanne. Either the colors were inappropriate, or the style didn't fit her. Mom, these clothes are so out of fashion. Well, I told you to go shopping for new clothes the other day, but you just wouldn't listen. Now that there's something going on, you are finally worried, aren't you? I told you a long time ago. Clothes and bags are women's weapons. You need to always be dressed up beautifully. How can we get our enemies to surrender and throw themselves at our feet if we are not well equipped? Roxanne rolled her eyes and stopped listening to Ingrid's lecture. After all, she and Ingrid didn't start out the same way. They were in different eras too. Ingrid's experience with men was just not applicable to her. Just wear the white one. It complements your figure and temperament. After they picked the dress, Roxanne took a shower, styled her hair, and put on makeup. She took the whole evening to dress up. Looking at her glowing self in the mirror, Roxanne beamed with satisfaction. She secretly swore from the bottom of her heart that she would drag Bruce to the bed tonight. She was no longer a virgin, and Bruce was bound to find out if they went to bed together. So, she had already got her secret weapon ready. It was some sort of contraction pill. She would need to put it into her private part before she made an advance on Bruce. By then, her body would be like a young girl again. It was 8 o'clock at night. A Maybach was parked outside the Haynes residence. Bruce personally drove to pick up Roxanne. Roxanne was wearing a white dress and a silk shawl today. Her face was embellished with sophisticated makeup. She looked beautiful and innocent. Blue Eva Diner was the most exclusive restaurant in Greypot. They would turn away customers that did not follow the appropriate dress code. Hence, everyone would dress up to the nines if they wanted to dine there. You're here, Bruce. Get in the car. All right. Roxanne opened the door and made a delightful entrance. Bruce shot her a glance and casually complimented. You look gorgeous today. Well, I'm not that gorgeous most days. Bruce handed her a bunch of flowers and kissed her lightly on the forehead. Thank you. Bruce smiled and started the engine. There were 2 cars following behind him. The bodyguard and chauffeur were in the cars. Actually, he didn't need to drive the car himself. Occasionally, he would feel the itch to get his hand on the steering wheel. Soon, they reached Blue Eva Diner. Welcome. The customers here were either rich or elite. A lot of celebrities were regular customers here too. That was why no picture taking was allowed in the restaurant. The customers here never needed to worry about breach of privacy. Wow, it's Mr. Everett. It seems like an engagement is coming on the way. The upper-class circle was small, and only a few people were going in and out of the venue. Roxanne walked beside Bruce, enjoying the admiring stares that showered her. What would you like to have tonight? A steak, please. Some red wine, please, Bruce. No problem. He had a chauffeur on standby anyway, so it didn't matter if he drank. Okay, Joanne, it's rare that you are treating me to dinner. I will definitely feast later. That's a must. Right then, Joanna and Jaden came in side by side. They saw Bruce and Roxanne the moment they walked into the restaurant. Joanna paused and suddenly didn't feel like eating here anymore. Jay, why don't we go somewhere else? What are you scared of? We are here for dinner. We don't need to say hello. Send gift. Bruce looked up and happened to see Joanna too. She was wearing a black below-the-knee skirt. The black heightened her delicate swan neck and collarbone. Although the dress didn't expose her bosoms, she still looked gorgeous in S*Y. It was the first time he had seen her in such revealing clothes. Her entire collarbone and her calves were exposed. Bruce frowned. He felt a surge of inexplicable anger. What made him even angrier was that Jaden was now intimately holding Joanna's shoulders while eyeing her with adoration. He could tell from Jaden's eyes that the latter really liked her. The thought of them doing something unspeakable after finishing their meal irritated him. Bruce was flooded with complicated emotions. He coughed awkwardly and loosened his cravat with an icy cold expression. Bruce, what's up? Nothing. Go ahead and place the order. Roxanne's face fell. She had just ordered. Bruce, why do you seem so distracted? No, I'm not. Bruce tried to contain his irritation but couldn't keep his eyes off Joanna. Roxanne finally realized that something was wrong. She looked in the direction of Bruce's gaze. Joanna. Roxanne gaped when she saw Joanna. A surge of jealousy swept over her instantly. No wonder Bruce has such a reaction. So, he has seen Joanna, she mused. Why don't you say hello to her, Bruce? Roxanne said sourly. Ads vibe up future. What for? Let's have a toast. Bruce raised the red wine glass in front of him. Roxanne paused, picked up her glass, and gently touched it against his. Cheers. By the time Bruce finished speaking, he had gulped down the drink. The red wine glass was immediately emptied. This made Roxanne even more furious, and her complexion clouded. Chapter 40. Why is this by TCH everywhere? It seems like today's atmosphere is going to be ruined again, Roxanne thought. Bruce poured himself another half glass of red wine and gulped it all down. Bruce, what are you doing? You'll get drunk if you drink in such a hurry. You can't drink Conti like that. This bottle of Romance Conti was worth $12,000. People usually took a small sip and enjoyed the lingering taste. However, Bruce was gulping down the alcohol like it was water. Meanwhile, Jaden and Joanna passed by Bruce and Roxanne and took a seat on the left side of the dining room. They had actually booked another table which was in a better location. However, in order to avoid Bruce and Roxanne, they gave up the table. The restaurant was fully air-conditioned. Jaden asked with concern, are you cold? Joanna rubbed her arms and said, a little. Jaden looked over at the waiter. Get us a shawl, please. Yes, Mr. Grimm, just a moment, please. The waiter then handed them a dining room shawl. Jaden stood up and stretched out the shawl, draping it over Joanna's shoulders. Thank you. The two of them exchanged a smile. Today's press conference was a great success. Under the efforts of Jaden's public relations team, Joanna was packaged as an independent, strong, beautiful, and inspiring woman. As of now, various articles and edited videos were being widely circulated on the internet. Within a day, Joanna's reputation was on the mend. After the news of the partnership between Haynes Group and Chi Technologies spread out, the investors' minds were finally at ease. By mid-afternoon, the share price of Haynes Group had stopped fluctuating wildly. Jaden helped her out so much that Joanna thought he deserved to be treated to dinner. Jaden looked at her ambiguously and tenderly. He smiled and said, what would you like to eat? I'll have a steak and a salad. Jaden browsed through the menu. Make it two then. No problem. The top beef in the restaurant was very famous and a must-try. Will you join me for a movie after dinner? Joanna's eyes flickered. Jay, you know the drill. I've got to go back and take care of Lilia. It's just a movie. It won't take up much of your time. I think I'll pass. I'm feeling a bit tired today. Joanna's eyes deepened as she politely turned down his invitation. Jaden smiled and gently grabbed her hand. This is a film produced by my company. Today is the premiere. I'd like you to come. With me. Subconsciously, Joanna flinched. I don't know. She knew that if she agreed to join him later, it would be equivalent to agreeing to be his girlfriend. Joanne, I accompanied you to the press conference today. It's only fair for you to accompany me to the premiere. Jay, I'm afraid I'm not good at dealing with grand events like this. You don't have to deal with it. Just stand beside me and keep me company. Joanna smiled. There are so many beautiful women in your company. Why don't you ask them to accompany you? As Jaden heard this, his eyes gleamed with disappointment. Would you like them to come with me? Do you have any idea what this means? Joanna merely fell silent. She knew, of course, that he wanted her to attend the premiere as his girlfriend. However, she really didn't want to be in a relationship ever again. Jaden squeezed Joanna's hand and watched her in silence. Joanne, are you sure you don't want to give me this chance? Don't you want to give yourself a chance? 2. Joanne, will you marry me? Boom. Joanna's mind was in a mess as if it was going to explode. She looked at Jaden in horror. Immediately, Jaden took out a diamond ring the size of a dove's egg from his pocket. As the music in the restaurant began, couples dressed in matching outfits turned up at the restaurant with huge bouquets of flowers in their hands. Blue Eva Diner was a sanctuary for marriage proposals, and the restaurant would cooperate with customers who wanted to propose to set up the scene. Of course, the cost was prohibitive for the average person. Joanne, I give you my official confession today. I love you. Marry me. With that, Jaden knelt on one knee and offered the diamond ring to Joanna. Joanna was not mentally prepared for his proposal. Jay, get up. Please don't do this. Now that Jaden suddenly confessed to her on a high profile, she was utterly dumbfounded. Joanne, we've known each other for 3,652 days. Today is the 2,520th day I loved you, and there are days to go in the future. Joanna was so nervous that her face turned pale, and her throat became dry. Please stop with the jokes, Jay. Get up quickly. There are so many people watching. Jaden remained on one knee and gazed earnestly at Joanna. Joanne, I am not joking. I am serious. I've been waiting for this day. For a long time. In the past, we missed each other, and it became the biggest regret in my life. Now that God has given me this opportunity again, I don't want to miss it. When Joanna heard that, her cheeks flushed red, and she didn't know what to do. She exclaimed inwardly, if I'm still the complete self from the past, I'll accept him without hesitation. But now that I'm broken, how could I be worthy of him? I can't hurt him, and I don't want to be a burden to him. Ads by Pub Future. Marry him, marry him, marry him. The melodious piano sound filled the air, and countless rose petals were falling from above like snowflakes in the sky, spreading all around her. The atmosphere was warm and romantic. However, Bruce's eyes were full of jealousy as he watched the scene in front of him. He clenched his fists, and they emitted loud cracking sounds. Even if he had abandoned Joanna, he still couldn't allow anyone else to covet her. That feeling was like someone had picked up on the rubbish he had just thrown away and found out that what he had thrown away was a rare gem. It made him feel regret, frustration, indignance, and irritation. Roxanne uttered with jealousy, "Wow, Mr. Grimm is so romantic. He indeed prepares his marriage proposal wholeheartedly." After saying that, she looked at Bruce with a forlorn expression. Unfortunately, Bruce was furious and didn't pay attention to her emotion. At that moment, disappointment and jealousy were written all over Roxanne's beautiful face. Judging from Bruce's reaction, she understood his thoughts about Joanna. Meanwhile, Joanna was so anxious that she burst into tears. "Jay, get up. Don't be like this." Jaden fixed his eyes on her, staring at her intensely. "Are you willing to accept it?" I'm sorry." Joanna turned around, grabbed her bag, and fled for the restroom. As she had severe depression, she couldn't get emotional, or she would get another attack. Joanne. When Jaden saw her run away, he was dazed instantly, and his brain went blank. She still rejected him in the end. HMPH. Bruce got to his feet as he was unable to stand it any longer. "Bruce, where are you going?" He ignored the question and headed straight to the restroom. Bang! The restroom door was pushed open. When Joanna looked back and saw it was Bruce, she got startled even more. "Bruce, what are you doing?" Bruce had a fiendish expression on his face like the devil. Without saying a word, he grabbed her by the wrist and dragged her out of the restroom. Joanna Suddenell felt her heart tremble, and she struggled desperately. "Bruce, let me go. What on earth are you trying to do?" Bruce didn't answer and just dragged her out in a fury like a husband catching a cheating partner. Joanna kept struggling and flung herself to the ground, causing her gown to slip and expose herself. As Bruce couldn't pull her away, he bent down and carried her up forcefully. "You're crazy. Let go of me." Bruce held her and forced her out of the restaurant. Everyone's eyes were fixated on the duo. "What's going on? Mr. Grimm is making a marriage proposal, so why is Mr. Everett out there making a scene?" Roxanne was so furious that her whole face was deformed when she saw that. She ran out of the restaurant in tears. At the parking lot downstairs, Bruce stuffed Joanna into the passenger seat of the car before he got in. "Bruce, what are you doing? You've been drinking, so you can't drive." Vroom. He had started the car and stepped on the pedal. The car accelerated to 75 miles per hour instantly. "Bruce, are you insane? Stop the car. What the hell are you trying to do?" The car drifted sharply and sped in the direction of the mountain road. Joanna was thrown against the car door. Panicked, she quickly buckled her seat belt. "Bruce, you have to stop. It's dangerous," she persuaded. Suddenly, the steering wheel turned violently. The wheels drifted, leaving a long tire track on the ground. The car almost crashed into the truck on the other side. Joanna was scared out of her wits. Her heart was thumping so hard that it almost leaped out of her chest. She thought, if he hit the truck on the opposite just now at that speed, even with seat belts, we would have died. It doesn't matter if I'm dead, but what about my 3 children? Hence, Joanna did not dare to shout at him again. Instead, she pleaded in horror, "Bruce, I beg you. Don't do this." Vroom. He started the car again. It then moved like an out-of-control beast, roaring while rushing into the traffic. "Bruce, please stop. I am begging you." It was as if Bruce had not heard anything. He kept speeding up. The car repeatedly overtook cars on the road. It was nerve-wracking every time he overtook another car. Luckily, he was an adept driver. Whenever it seemed like his car was about to clash with the others, they would end up brushing past each other. Joanna closed her eyes in fear several times. She would hold on tightly to the handle above the car door even with her seat belt buckled. She exclaimed inwardly, "I mustn't die. For my 3 children, I can never die. Bruce, please, don't do this." Joanna couldn't help but beg while grabbing his arm. Bruce was extremely incensed, but he didn't know what he wanted to do as well. He only knew that he felt the fury erupting within him, so he wanted to speed up to vent his anger. "Bruce, you have to stop the car now. I'm begging you. Since Bruce had drunk some alcohol earlier, it was very dangerous for him to drive at that moment. The car's speed grew faster and faster, and it had already reached 87 miles per hour. Moreover, the car was on a mountain road, which would come to a hairpin turn in a short distance. Thus, he was putting them at risk by driving that way. Bruce, stop the car. What the hell is wrong with you? Ads by Pub Future. Joanna was scared out of her wits as she mused. If this goes on, we'll definitely get into a car accident. I want to jump out of the car, but at such a high speed, I'll surely lose my life by jumping off the car. Bruce, you have to stop. Joanna tried to stop him from speeding up. All of a sudden, a car appeared from the other side. Bruce quickly swerved the steering wheel because his car was going too fast. But it was too late. Under such urgent circumstances, Bruce turned the steering wheel in the opposite direction. Crack. Chapter 42 Crash. The car smashed through the roadside barrier and plunged into the sea. Joanna shouted in shock, closing her eyes tightly. Bang. Thump. The car smashed into the sea hard. The impact was so powerful that Joanna momentarily lost consciousness, and her mind went blank. Bruce banged his head on the steering wheel. Then, the airbags ejected and inflated. 5 minutes later, Joanna gradually woke up. As soon as she opened her eyes, she broke out in a cold sweat immediately. Water had already entered the car and was halfway to filling it up. Bruce had passed out. Bruce, wake up. The water is getting into the car. Bruce didn't react at all. It was dark inside the car, and she could only scan the surroundings with the help of the faint street lamp on the bank. Bruce had a cut on his forehead, and his face was covered with blood. Joanna trembled in shock and frantically shook him. Bruce, wake up. The water continued to rise. Joanna began to panic and couldn't be bothered about waking Bruce anymore. She hurriedly pushed the car door, but unfortunately, there was water in the car, and the door wouldn't open under the strong pressure. Where's the car safety hammer? There would usually be a car safety hammer inside the car to facilitate smashing the windows in case it fell into the river. However, she rummaged through the front compartment and couldn't find the car safety hammer. The water was already up to her chest. Without hesitation, Joanna immediately took off her heels. She aimed at the edge of the car window, which was the weakest part of it, and smashed it crazily. Bang, 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 bang. After smashing it several times, the car window finally loosened. Joanna smashed it a few times again, and the window finally broke. She then climbed out the window. By that time, the whole car was full of water. Joanna waited for the car to balance and swam to the other side. Luckily, the water pressure in the car had balanced out. Joanna opened the car door to drag Bruce out. However, he was strapped in. As it was very dark under the water, Joanna fumbled for a long time but still failed to unbuckle the seat belt. She couldn't hold her breath anymore and needed to come to the surface of the water to breathe, but she did not dare to do so. Because by the time she got to the surface, the car would probably have completely sunk to the bottom. Bruce was still in the car, and he was unconscious. If she didn't save him, he would surely die. In fact, at that moment, Joanna could give up on saving him and escape by herself. Yet, Joanna held in her breath. With her final breath, she finally unfastened the seat belt. Joanna dragged Bruce out of the car. Splash! The duo finally got to the surface. Joanna heavily panted as she tried to regulate her breathing. Bruce, wake up. Since Bruce was 6 feet and 2 inches tall, it would almost be impossible for Joanna to drag him to the shore. However, she didn't give up. She put her hands around his armpits and struggled to swim toward the shore with all her strength. As Bruce arrived at the surface, he slightly regained consciousness. While he was half awake and half dazed, he vaguely felt as if he had returned to the incident 10 years ago when he was drowning. It was also the same as that moment, a thin and delicate figure dragging the behemoth him, struggling to swim to the shore. The sealed memory seemed to have been unlocked. Back then, he didn't get a good look at the girl's face. But at this moment, he seemed to remember it. The girl who saved him had hair so long that it almost twisted around his neck in the water, and Roxanne had never had such long hair. However, after he was rescued to the shore and woke up, the first person he saw was Roxanne. So, he had subconsciously assumed that it was Roxanne who had saved him. Joanna coughed violently and was totally drained. After being in the ocean for so long, she had choked on quite a lot of seawater. Even though she could float well, she certainly felt quite helpless as she had to drag such a well-built man with her. The two of them were bobbing in the water, only about 10 meters away from the shore. If she was swimming back to the shore alone, she could probably do it in less than a minute. However, she was now dragging Bruce with her and struggled in the water for over 10 minutes, before finally reaching the shore. Joanna continued to cough as she staggered up the steps on the shore and was so exhausted that she was on the brink of collapse. She couldn't move Bruce at all, much less bring him all the way to the shore. In the end, she could only drag him a little so that the upper half of his body was lying on the steps, making sure that he wouldn't drown or suffocate. "Bruce, wake up," she called out while still coughing. Bruce was half conscious, but he couldn't open his eyes no matter how hard he tried. Joanna shook him hard and immediately performed a few rounds of CPR on him. Bruce finally opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of seawater, his breathing becoming much smoother. Joanna was relieved to see him wake up. However, he had banged his head hard and was losing a lot of blood. He had to be sent to a hospital immediately. Several people had gathered on the shore, pointing at them and commenting among themselves. "Help! Please call an ambulance for us." Joanna staggered ashore to ask for help. As he looked at the back of her thin, delicate figure, Bruce instantly had a moment of déjà vu. His brain rewound like a tape as he searched within his memories. Finally, the image of a delicate figure with long, wet hair froze in his mind. He totally remembered it now. 10 years ago, it was exactly like this, too. The girl dragged him to the shore and ran off, anxiously asking for help. And when he woke up, Roxanne was there, taking care of him. Ads by Pub Future. Chapter 43. Thus, his memories had gotten messed up, and he had mistakenly thought that it was Roxanne who had saved him. That was also the day he began to take a liking to Roxanne. Before that, he was in love with the long-haired Joanna. "Joanne." Bruce lifted his arm as he called out weakly. On the shore, several cars headed toward them at top speed. Over a dozen people got out of their cars and came down the coast to help. Bruce's bodyguards and assistants had tracked the car's location via the GPS and hurried over. "Mr. Everett is here. Hurry up." The bodyguards made it down to the coast, immediately lifting Bruce into a car and rushing him to the hospital. Meanwhile, Andy stayed back to deal with the police. Once they arrived at the hospital, Bruce was sent straight to the emergency room, while Joanna was sent to a treatment room as well. She had several scratches on her body from the broken glass of the car window. Some of the cuts were deep and needed stitches. Overall, though, she wasn't as badly hurt as Bruce. Soon, Margaret, Roxanne, Ingrid, Sean, and many more rushed to the hospital. Bruce, please don't worry, old Mrs. Everett. Mr. Everett has just gotten a few stitches and is now awake." Margaret heard that, but her heart was still full of worry. She hurried into the ward to check on Bruce. He was the only son of the Everett family. If anything happened to him, the Everett family, which had such a huge business empire, would have no heir. Thus, of course, Margaret was anxious about Bruce's condition. In the ward, Bruce's wound was already dressed, and he was resting on the hospital bed. "Bru, are you okay? Is it bad?" "Grandma, I'm all right." "How did this happen?" "Mr. Everett was just in an accident." Margaret came to the bedside and gripped Bruce's hand tightly. "Oh, how many times have I told you not to drive? Why won't you listen to me?" Her expression was imbued with worry and heartache. "Bruce, you scared me." Roxanne ran up and plunged her head into Bruce's arms. Ingrid also added nervously, "Yes, you scared us, Bruce. Always be careful when you drive. If it's possible, don't drive. After all, we've hired so many drivers, haven't we?" Sean looked concerned as well as he added, "Fortunately, you ended up safe this time, but you'd better be extra careful from now on." Everyone was fussing over Bruce, and not a single person showed any concern about Joanna. Even Sean didn't even bother about her. Joanna's wounds were dressed as well. She had been given anti-inflammatory medicine and was about to leave the hospital. Joanne. Jaden hurried over. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Jaden kept repeating his apologies as he hugged Joanna tightly. I'm all right. My wounds are already dressed, and I can leave the hospital now. Looking at her face, which was pale as a sheet, Jaden was even more worried. Are you sure you are all right? Let me take a look at the wound. Enduring the pain, Joanna gave him a faint smile. Yes, I'm really fine. I'll just need to come back tomorrow and change the dressing. That's all. Actually, her entire body was burning in pain. She had just gotten more than a dozen stitches, and the effect of the anesthetic had faded away by now. Of course, she would be in pain. Jaden looked at Joanna with a heartbroken expression and lifted her shirt anyway to take a look at her wounds. Her abdomen, thighs, and arms were all covered in stitches. Even if the wounds healed, they would probably leave scars on her body. Bruce, that son of a bitch. I'm going after him. No, Jai, don't go. Joanna stopped Jaden at once. After all, what good was there to go after him? At most, she would only get a small amount in compensation. There was no way he would be sent to prison or anything like that. Ouch. She let out a groan. Jaden frowned and supported her at once. Joanne, why don't you stay in the hospital for a few days? If the wound gets infected, it will become more serious. Joanna bit her pale, dry lip, holding back the pain. No, I'm going home to take care of Lilia. She'll be worried if she doesn't see me. It's already past 12 o'clock now. I have to hurry back. Then, let me send you back. All right. In the ward, the people were still fussing over Bruce, chattering endlessly. Have a good rest for a few days, Bruce. Grandma, I'm sorry to have worried you, but I'm really fine now. Ingrid furrowed her brows and deliberately blurted out, You are a young man. Like so many others, you're particularly impulsive. When you're not yet married. Look how dangerous a situation you got yourself into. Old Mrs. Everett, the way I see it, once Bruce recovers, he should quickly get married to Roxy. It's better to settle down sooner rather than later, too. Before she could finish, however, Margaret's forehead had already knitted into a frown. It was true that the Everett family and the Haynes family had good connections. However, the Everett family was connected with Raymond, not Ingrid. It was not Ingrid's place to comment on Bruce at all. Bruce needs to get some rest. You should all go out first. Don't disturb his rest. As Ingrid heard this, an awkward expression washed over her face. Well, then, Bruce, have a good rest. With that said, Ingrid, Roxanne, and Sean left the ward begrudgingly. That woman sure is long-winded and annoying. The truth was, Margaret had nothing but disdain for a woman like Ingrid. When Raymond was alive, she had been kind and tolerant to the Haynes family, all for Raymond's sake. However, now that Raymond was dead, the Everett family obviously had no relations with Sean and his wife anymore. Margaret was merely maintaining a good relationship with them for the sake of Raymond. However, to Margaret, Ingrid simply had no tact. An accident had just happened that almost scared her to death, yet Ingrid brought up the subject of marriage at this time. Ingrid couldn't have made her intentions clearer. How is Joanna? Joanna. Margaret was stunned. Bruce frowned, and his lips quivered as he muttered, She was in the accident with me. But I didn't see her. Hearing that, Bruce struggled to sit up and get out of bed. Seeing this, Margaret quickly stopped him. You have to lie down. You're still on the IV drip. You've been hurt so badly. Where do you think you are going? I'm going to see her. Don't move. Let's just call the nurse over and ask about her. With that, Margaret pressed the beeper. A minute later, a nurse hurried in. Mr. Everett, what do you need? This hospital was run by the Everett family, so all the doctors and nurses knew Bruce. What happened to the lady I came here with? Oh, she has had some stitches and has left the hospital. Bruce listened with a frown. What? She's out of the hospital. Ads by Pub Future. Well, yes, a man has just picked her up. Bruce fell silent. His brow scrunched into a frown, and he felt as if he had been stabbed in the heart. Through this accident, he finally realized he seemed to have been in love with the wrong person. The girl who rescued him from the pool 10 years ago was Joanna, not Roxanne. He had been mistaken all these years. Brew, don't worry. There's probably no major problem with her, and that must be why she was discharged from the hospital. By the way, didn't I ask you to have her bring her 2 kids over to see me? How come there's been no news about that for so many days? She wouldn't. The moment Margaret heard that, her eyes narrowed as she froze. She wouldn't. Yes, this girl has got a real temper, hasn't she? She reminds me of myself back in the day. The truth was, if those kids were real flesh and blood of the Everett family, it would be as if a gift had fallen from heaven and into Joanna's lap. In fact, even if they were not flesh and blood of the Everett family, she would still have nothing to lose if she went to visit Margaret. Grandma, I'm so confused right now. I want to be alone to sort out my thoughts. Oh, all right. Stay in bed and have a good rest, then. Sure, I will. With that, Margaret sighed and left the room. After Margaret left, Bruce lay in bed, quietly reflecting on everything that had happened in the past years. He mentally sorted out all the events that had happened. Initially, he had a good impression of Joanna. It was Roxanne who kept telling him that Joanna was a withdrawn and scheming woman. Over time, he really began to think that it was true. Outside the ward, seeing that Margaret had come out, Roxanne and Ingrid immediately rushed over to her, greeting her in Everson Software Limited. Unison, old Mrs. Everett. Margaret frowned slightly. Bruce needs to rest. You should go home as well. Ingrid cracked a smile. All right, then. Well, Roxy, I guess you'd better stay and take care of Bruce. Your dad and I won't stay here and cause more inconvenience to the Everetts. Margaret listened and said nothing. She merely adjusted her shawl and walked away expressionlessly. Seeing that, Roxanne sighed aloud. Ingrid, who heard her, frowned as she asked, "Why are you sighing?" Roxanne began but couldn't find the right words. She knew that a rift had developed between her and Bruce. All you know is acting like a brat at home. How did I get such a stupid daughter like you? Mom, there you go again. This matter has to do with relationships. What does it have to do with whether one is smart or not? Of course, it matters. Forget it. Just go home. Stay close to Bruce, and don't let anything happen. Got it? After Ingrid and Sean left, Roxanne sat in the corridor of the hospital for nearly half an hour. After finally calming down, she went back into the ward. Are you hungry, Bruce? I've packed you some broth. Bruce paused for a few seconds but couldn't resist asking, Roxy, I want to ask you something. Sure, what is it? 10 years ago, I drowned in your swimming pool. Who saved me? The moment Roxanne heard that, a strange look immediately flashed across her eyes. Are you asking this question out of the blue? I just remembered it today, so I am just asking. Roxanne clenched her fists nervously and managed a smile. Of course, it was me. Really? Of course, it's true. Don't you believe me? It took Roxanne everything she had to maintain a calm facade. She knew very well why Bruce suddenly took a fancy to her 10 years ago. That year, Margaret had brought Bruce to the Haynes residence for a visit. When it was around lunchtime, Bruce was swimming in the pool. He suddenly got a cramp in his foot and drowned. Although the Haynes family had servants, unlike the Everett family, they did not have that many housekeepers and bodyguards. When Bruce was drowning, Joanna was the first to spot him. As the situation was so critical, Joanna dove in to save him before she could call for help. After rescuing him out of the pool, Joanna ran off to call for help, and Roxanne rushed over to Bruce's side to take care of him. After Bruce woke up, he asked her, "Did you save me?" Roxanne knew he had misunderstood the situation but nodded anyway. It was also from that day onward that Bruce's attitude toward her completely changed. Despite being 5 years older than her, he refused to date, all because he had been waiting for her to grow up. Why, after all these years, is he suddenly asking such a question? Could it be that Joanna said something to him? Roxanne wondered. Seeing Bruce's silent demeanor, Roxanne asked cautiously, "Did Joanna say something to you?" "No," replied Bruce dryly. He knew he did not need to ask anymore. Joanna was his rescuer, and all those years, he had gotten everything wrong. Roxanne's heart skipped a beat, and she hurried to say, "Bruce, I'm sure Joanna told you something. Otherwise, You wouldn't have asked. You know that she has always been smarter than me and better than me. She loves you so much, so of course, she won't let go of you. It's obvious that she deliberately tried to split us up. Whatever she told you, Bruce, you mustn't believe it. Bruce had a grim look on his face. He said impatiently, don't say any more. My mind is in a muddle. I want to be alone. But Bruce, please leave the room for now. His mind was indeed all muddled up right now, and he didn't know what to do. Ads by Pub Future. I made a mistake. I can't blame others. The only person I can blame is myself. He berated himself internally. Do you not love me anymore, Bruce? You've been giving me the cold shoulder ever since Joanna came back. I can't lose you, Bruce. I won't let her snatch you away from me. Roxanne dove into Bruce's arms, gripping his arm frantically as she wept miserably. Judging by Bruce's reaction, she had guessed that he must have found out the truth and would soon break up with her. As his fiancée, she had enjoyed the envious looks of other ladies and socialites. If she was dumped now, she would probably become the laughingstock of the whole of Greyport. Please go out first. I'm not leaving you, Bruce. Being impatient, Bruce immediately pressed the beeper, and a nurse quickly came in. Please get her out of here. Haynes, Mr. Everett is going to rest and recuperate, so please leave the room first. Well, then I shall leave first, Brucel, you must believe me. Bruce merely scowled and didn't answer. He hated it most when women lied to him, and Roxanne had lied to him for years. No matter what happened next, there was no way he was going to continue his relationship with her. After Roxanne left, Bruce punched the bed twice, his eyes bloodshot. He was really furious. All these years, I've gotten it all wrong. He admonished himself inwardly. Clack. Bruce pulled out his IV drip, put on his hospital gown, and shuffled out of the ward. Mr. Everett, your IV drip hasn't finished yet. Where are you going? Get out of my way. The nurses didn't dare to stop him, while the bodyguards hastened to follow. Give me your car keys, he ordered. Hearing that, the bodyguards were shocked. After all, Bruce had just been in an accident. Yet, he was now asking to drive again. Just give me the keys. All right, don't you follow. With that said, Bruce got into a Bentley, slammed his foot on the accelerator, and drove off. Soon, he arrived at the doorstep of Joanna's house. Knock, knock. Who is it? Joanne called out before mumbling to herself, who's knocking at this hour? Knock, knock, knock. Another few knocks sounded from the front door. Joanna had just fallen asleep and was immediately awakened. Talia, go and see who's at the door, please. Since Devian and Irwin went to Venturas, Miranda and Annie had followed to take care of them. Thus, there were only Joanna, Lilia, and Talia in the house now. Talia hurried over to the door. It's late. May I ask who it is? Open up. Hurry. It's the property manager. Your house has a gas leak. When Talia heard that it was the property manager, she thought there was indeed a gas leak and quickly opened the door. Outside the door stood a tall man who radiated a cold and frightening aura from head to toe. You're not from the property management, are you? Not bothering to explain himself to her, Bruce rushed into the house. Where's Joanna? Joanna was wide awake. Clutching the wound on her abdomen, she painfully staggered out of the room to see what was going on. Who is it? Taking a look outside her room, Joanna was taken aback when she saw Bruce. It was as if he was a ghost who wouldn't stop haunting her. Bruce, what do you want now? The moment he saw her, Bruce immediately took a few steps forward without thinking and wanted to say something. However, as though the words were stuck in his throat, he couldn't get a single word out at all. Joanna frowned. What are you doing barging into my house in the middle of the night? Joanna, Bruce managed only to force out two words before he wrapped Joanna in his embrace. Ouch. Let me go. Send. Hearing her groans of agony, Bruce quickly let her go. Joanna. He wanted to say that he was sorry, but those words just couldn't be uttered. Joanna gave him a cold look. It's past 3 o'clock in the morning. What the hell are you doing? Bruce had a thick white bandage on his head, and half of his face was swollen. Besides that, he was also clad in a hospital gown. He indeed looked a little creepy. I've just come to see you. You must be crazy. If you don't leave soon, I'll call the police. Then go ahead and call the police. Joanna was furious. She swallowed and frowned, asking, "What the hell do you want?" Bruce's thin lips quivered as he looked at Joanna with a gentle yet complicated expression. "I don't want anything. All I wanted was to see you." Looking at the gentle expression in his eyes, Joanna started having goosebumps for no reason. Bruce would never look at me so gently. This vicious and violent man must be planning some trick on me again, she remarked, internally, putting up her guard. "This is my house. Get out, please. Haven't you done enough harm to me? Don't you know that not only did you almost get yourself killed, you almost got me killed as well? Bruce, I beg you, will you please leave me alone? I really don't want to see you." "Joanne." Bruce instinctively took a step forward and reached out. He wanted to hug her but didn't dare to do so. Joanna's heart clenched as well. He had always called her name in a cold tone. Never had he ever called her in such an affectionate tone. It was baffling. "Talia, call the cops. Tell them a psycho's trespassing." "Joanne, do you have to do this? I have something I want to say to you." Hearing that, Joanna folded her arms and glared at Bruce. "All right, I'm listening now. What exactly do you want to say?" Bruce stammered. He simply couldn't bring himself to say that he was sorry. It was not in his nature to be subservient to women. After all, it had always been the women who surrounded him, racking their brains to please him. All he had to do was give them the slightest signal, and a whole bunch of women would swoop toward him. Asking such a proud man to lower his head humbly in front of a woman was akin to taking his life. "Come on, it's past 3. Even if you don't intend to sleep, other people do. You might as well just go home first. If there's anything else to say, we can talk about it tomorrow." Ads by Pub Future. Chapter 46. "No, I need to talk to you now." "Then just do it, Mr. Everett. It's not in your nature to hesitate." He had always been sharp-tongued. When he spoke to her, he was always either bitter or sarcastic. If not, he would be roaring at her. In any case, this was the first time he was speaking in such a calm tone. Joanna was really running out of patience. "Now, if you don't want to say it, I'm hungry." Hearing that, Joanna was utterly speechless. "Can you fix me something to eat? I haven't eaten all day, and I'm hungry." The moment Bruce finished talking, he looked at Joanna pleadingly. Joanna was taken aback for a moment. She thought she had heard wrongly. "I beg your pardon. I'm hungry. I want to eat something." Joanna couldn't resist scrutinizing his expression again, hoping to get an explanation for the way he was acting. When they were married, she would cook and wait for him to eat it almost every day. However, not once had he tasted her cooking. Yet, now, he came over in the middle of the night, telling her that he was hungry and wanted something to eat. "Bruce, what's your game? If you still don't go, don't blame me for doing something drastic." As she spoke, Joanna could not help but reach out, trying to push him out of the house. However, Bruce stood as firm as a mountain, refusing to move. "I'm really hungry. I want to eat something," he stated, patting his belly. Joanna was even more speechless. "So, what would you like to eat?" "Anything." Joanna paused for a few seconds, spoke no more, and turned toward the kitchen. After all, it would not take much time to make some buttered noodles. All she had to do was fill up his stomach and make him leave the place. It really could not be simpler to make buttered noodles. She started by boiling the pasta and then draining it. Then, she mixed in the butter, cheese, salt, and pepper. 10 minutes later, Joanna placed a plate of buttered noodles on the table. "The food is ready. Eat up and get going." It was indeed a simple dish, but it smelled great. In just a moment, the entire room was filled with the pungent scent of butter, mixed with cheese. Bruce was really hungry. He had always been a picky eater. Yet, he gobbled up the plate of noodles, relishing it. Soon, he finished the entire plate of noodles. "Are you finished?" "Yeah, but I'm still not very full. I would like to have another plate." When Joanna heard that, she became even more furious. "This man almost got me killed. Yet, he's here now at my house in the middle of the night just to torture me. What the hell is going on?" she wondered. "I'll call Andy and tell him to come and get you." "No, I don't want to go." At her wit's end, Joanna could not even find the words to retort. May I lie down on the couch? Bruce, what the hell are you trying to do? Bruce's sharp eyes were filled with gentleness at this moment. I'm here to protect you in case you are in danger. Ahem. Joanna choked on her saliva and nearly popped a vessel when she heard that. As long as he's not here, I would be safe. She thought. You're ridiculous. Go lie down if you want, she stated. With that, she didn't bother saying anything more but turned around, heading back to her room. After all, it was not like she could stop him from doing what he wanted. Bang! She slammed the door shut. Thoroughly exhausted, all she wanted right now was to go to sleep. She no longer had any energy to quarrel with him and did not care anymore about whatever tricks were on his mind. After Joanna returned to her room, Talia went into Lilia's room as well. Bruce was left all alone in the living room. Looking around, he could not help but feel a little sad. How could she be living in such a rotten place now? He remarked internally. Indeed, the living room was tiny and was even smaller than the bathroom in his house. With that, he made up his mind to help her move into a new house the next day to make up for what he owed her. Why didn't you tell me sooner, Joanne? Bruce sank into the couch. His heart filled with even more mixed emotions. How could I have made such a blunder and been mistaken about such an important thing? For more than 10 years, I've been in love with the wrong person. He continued to berate himself inwardly. The next morning, the bodyguards were in a frenzy. Mr. Everett is missing. Call Mr. Everett immediately and ask where he is. He didn't bring his phone. According to the GPS in his car, he should be in the area, but there's no sign of him. What are you guys even hired for? How could you not follow him? You know very well about Mr. Everett's temper. If he doesn't allow anyone to follow him, who would dare to do so? So, what do we do now? Where could Mr. Everett have gone? How would we answer when old Mrs. Everett asks about him? Later. Oh my God. Mr. Everett hasn't been kidnapped, has he? What should we do? What else can we do? Go and find him before it's too late. The group of bodyguards was panicking. After all, their job was to provide protection to Bruce 24 hours a day. Now that Bruce was missing, there was no way they wouldn't be afraid. The previous night, Bruce would not let anyone follow him. The bodyguards did not dare to disobey him, nor did they dare to let him out of their sight. Thus, all they could do was follow him sneakily. However, Bruce drove too fast. Within minutes, they had lost him. They searched all night but couldn't find him, and that made them even more frightened. At 7 o'clock in the morning, the alarm clock rang, and Joanna got up to turn it off. Nowadays, she was a terrible sleeper and would only sleep for 3 or 4 hours a day. Last night, because of Bruce's interruption, she only managed to get less than 2 hours of sleep. In the living room, Bruce was lying on the couch, sound asleep. As he had lost a lot of blood, his brain was very deoxygenated, which was why he was particularly sleepy. After Joanna got up, he was still asleep. Talia got up as well and gazed at Bruce on the couch with a look of resignation. Miss Haynes, what should we do about him? Leave him be. Just let him sleep. After Joanna washed up, she was ready to make breakfast. With Miranda being away, Talia had to take care of Lilia. Thus, Joanne had to prepare breakfast by herself. However, she only prepared simple meals. Sometimes, it would be as simple as a sandwich or a salad with boiled eggs, served with a cup of strong coffee. Just as Joanna finished making a sandwich, Bruce awakened. His face had swelled up even more after he had gotten one night of sleep. His left eye was swollen and was an appalling sight. The white bandage on his head had also leaked a little, looking yellow and gooey. Joanne, what are you doing? Ads by Pub Future. Joanna shot him a glance. It's morning now, so get back to the hospital. Aren't you going to keep me for breakfast? Please, I have to work later. Will you stop messing around? Hearing that, Bruce instantly softened his tone. I think you've been hurt pretty badly too, so why don't you take a day off? Anyway, work never ends. There's no need to work so hard. When Joanna heard this, her heart clenched even more. She wouldn't have had to work so hard if he hadn't pressured her into signing the agreement. According to the agreement, in 3 years' time, if she did not fulfill her promise to the company, she would lose everything. And he was the one who had cornered her into signing it. Yet, he was now standing there, saying nonsense to her. Bruce, that's enough. Stop it with your pretense. You have to go now. Joanne, there's been a misunderstanding between us. I don't want to hear any more of this. Please get out of there. Joanna pushed Bruce, trying to force him to get out of the house. Joanne, let me explain. There's truly been a misunderstanding between us. I'm sorry for not knowing the truth until yesterday. Shut up. I don't want to hear anything you have to say. If you don't go now, don't blame me for being discourteous to you. As the two of them tugged and pushed at each other, a sweet and crisp voice rang out from the room. Mommy, who are you talking to? Has Devian and Irwin come back? Bruce froze and looked blankly at the room's door. Who's calling you? With a look of panic on her face, Joanna shoved Bruce toward the front door. Just go. Don't stay in my house. Who's in the room? Bruce ignored her and walked straight into the room. Bruce, stop right there. You're not going in there. Joanna tried desperately to stop him. Unfortunately, she was not strong enough to do so. Even if he was injured, Bruce was still much stronger than her. Click. He opened the door. Lilia, seeing that she was unable to stop him, Joanna barged into the room first, afraid that Bruce would frighten her daughter. Once the door was opened, Bruce fixed his eyes on the little girl who was lying in bed. The little girl was very pale and looked frail. However, she was exceedingly pretty and was much like a miniature version of Joanna. Lilia was also looking curiously at Bruce with large, flickering eyes. Is this? You'd better get out of here. Mommy, who's that man? Don't worry about him, Mommy. Bruce was instantly stunned again as the blood rushed up to his head. He thought that Joanne only had 2 children, but now it turned out that she had a daughter as well. Mommy, he looks so. Stranger. Was he hurt? Lilia, be a good girl. I will explain it to you later, okay? All right. Turning over, Joanna gave Bruce's chest another push. Bruce, I beg you. Will you stop bothering me? I just want to live my life in peace now. Please, will you? Stop pestering me. Bruce gathered his thoughts and said matter-of-factly, Joanne, there's been a misunderstanding between us, and I'm hoping that we can resolve it. There's been no misunderstanding. You don't need to explain anything. All we need is some distance, and then we'll be all right. She had nearly died trying to crawl out of the pain that he had caused her, and she no longer wanted anything more to do with him. Joanne, I can explain. I don't want to hear it. I just want you to go. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. Miss Haynes, it's Mr. Grimm. Hearing that Jaden had arrived, Joanna felt relieved. Go and get the door. Talia opened the door, and Jaden walked in, carrying several packages in his hands. Send. Joanne, I've brought you some breakfast and some daily necessities. Before Jaden could finish his words, he caught sight of Bruce. What's he doing here? Jay, don't get me wrong. I don't know what was wrong with him last night. He came all the way here. Hearing that, Bruce responded by tightening his grip around Joanna's shoulder while looking at Jaden tauntingly. Joanne and I are married. We don't need someone else to tell us what to do. Joanna struggled a little. Bruce, we're divorced already. We can still remarry, can't we? You're nuts. Let go of me. Jaden couldn't help but frown. Joanne, what's he doing here? From the looks of the situation, he figured that Bruce had spent the night here. The idea was driving Jaden up the wall. Bruce sneered, why can't I be here? Jay, I'll explain it to you later. Bruce, you have to go. If you don't, I'll really call the police. Bruce gulped and looked grimly at Joanna. Joanne, I'm going to ask you again. Who is the father of the child? Joanna's eyes flickered, and she looked at Bruce with rage. I've told you so many times. The child has nothing to do with you. I don't believe it. I'm taking her for a paternity test. Who are you to take my child away? I gave birth to her after we divorced. She has nothing to do with you. Bruce wouldn't listen and turned around to take Lilia. He was determined to take the child for a paternity test that day. He didn't believe Joanna would fall in love with another man so soon after she divorced him. Don't you touch my child, you lunatic. Ah, Mommy, Lilia cried, her small body trembling. Ads by Pup Future. Unfortunately, she couldn't get up or run away. Bruce, don't you touch my baby. You'll scare her like this. When Jaden saw what was going on, he was enraged. He pounced, punching Bruce. You bastard. Stop this. Haven't you harmed Joanne enough? Will you only feel happy after you kill her? Pow! Bruce was caught off guard as a punch landed on his face. Immediately, he staggered back a few steps. After steadying himself, he touched the blood on the corner of his lips. Chapter 48 Bam! Infuriated, Bruce threw a punch back at Jaden. Boom! His punch was even harder and more ruthless than Jaden's. It was as if he wanted to punch Jaden to death. Boom! Bam! Pow! The two men started tussling, fighting their way from the room to the living room. The coffee table, the television, and other furniture was smashed to the ground. The entire living room was a mess. Stop it. Stop fighting. Mommy. Lilia cried with fright. Talia was also stunned. She rushed over to put her arms around Lilia. Jay. Bruce, stop fighting. Stop it now. The two men had long wanted to fight each other, and they finally got the chance that day. Thud. Thud. Bruce was more aggressive and cruel in fighting, but he had lost a lot of blood the day before due to the car accident. Thus, he was a bit groggy and slow to react. They were both very tall. Bruce was 6 feet and 2 inches, while Jaden was also over 6 feet tall as well. One of them had been learning boxing since childhood, and the other had been practicing combat since young. They refused to yield to each other, just like two fierce beasts. Presently, both of their faces and bodies were covered in bruises. As he was having a hard time fighting with Jaden, Bruce went all out and picked up a wine bottle before aiming it at Jaden's head. Stop fighting. Jay, watch out. Joanna was terrified at the scene before her. She rushed over to shield Jaden. Pow! The bottle hit Joanna on the arm. Luckily, it didn't hit her head. Ah! Joanna's arm broke then and there. She screamed in pain and slumped to the ground. Joanne! Joanne! When Jaden saw this, he stopped fighting. He quickly ran up to Joanna to check her arm. Excruciating pain shot up from her arm, making it hard for her to breathe. The next moment, her eyes closed, and she fainted from the pain. Joanne, I'm taking you to a hospital. Seeing that, Bruce yelled, let go of her. Joanna is my woman, Mommy, Lilia called out while crying. Stop wasting time. We have to get Joanne to the hospital. Bruce domineeringly pushed Jaden out of the way and picked Joanna up. Joanne, I really didn't mean it. Hang in there. I'll take you to the hospital. Since Joanna lost consciousness, it wasn't a good time for Jaden to fight over her with Bruce. Talia, you take care of Lilia. I'm going to the hospital to take care of Joanne. Got it, Mr. Grimm. With that said, Jaden ran after Bruce and sprinted out the door. After the three were gone, Talia looked at the house that was in shambles. She was so frightened that she couldn't even cry. My goodness, they're so troublesome. They created such a big mess in the house. How am I going to clean this all up? She grumbled. Meanwhile, Lilia continued to wail, Mommy. Where's Mommy? Lilia, your mommy is fine. She'll be back in a while. Talia quickly comforted Lilia. Margaret arrived at the hospital early in the morning, only to discover that Bruce was missing. Anxiousness pulsed through her veins, causing her to almost lose consciousness. Where's Bruce? Haven't you found him yet? Last night, Mr. Everett insisted on driving out of here. He wouldn't allow anyone to follow him. You bunch of losers. If something happens to Bruce, I'll bury all of you with him. Margaret had a fit. Being in her 70s, she had a weak heart. Once she got mad, her heart would ache, and her brain would be deprived of oxygen. The assistant swiftly whipped out an oxygen tank and put the mask on Margaret's face. She only calmed down a little after inhaling a few mouthfuls of oxygen. Hurry up and find him. We have to find him. Andy quickly reassured Margaret, yes, yes. We're already looking. Kyle headed out with some people to look for Mr. Everett last night. I'll call him now to ask if he has found Mr. Everett. Roxanne also hurried to the hospital at that moment after getting the message. Where's Bruce? Hasn't he come back yet? Not yet. Could he have gotten into an accident? Maybe we should report it to the police. It hasn't been 24 hours. We can't call the police. Besides, Mr. Everett may be deliberately preventing us from finding him. Where in the world did he go? He didn't take his phone with him, and he didn't tell anybody anything. I'm worried sick. Grandma, calm down first. I'm sure Bruce went out to take care of something. Maybe he'll be back later. Roxanne reassured Margaret. Margaret's face darkened as she clutched her chest. How can I calm down? He's so heavily injured. Where could he have gone? Ads by Pub Future. Just as she was talking, a commotion erupted in the hospital lobby. Hurry up, doctor. Somebody's hurt. Covered in blood, Bruce rushed into the hospital with unconscious Joanna in his arms. Bruce was distraught. He roared, "Doctor, come on. Somebody's hurt." Seeing that it was Bruce, a group of doctors and nurses ran over and moved Joanna onto a bed. Then, they pushed Joanna into the emergency room. Margaret was relieved to see her grandson back. "Where did you go yesterday, Bruce? Oh my, why are you covered in blood?" "Now's not the time for questions, Grandina." Worried about Joanna, Bruce tried to make his way into the emergency room. Seeing this, Roxanne immediately stood in his way and asked with a frustrated expression, "Did you go looking for Joanna last night, Bruce?" Margaret interrupted. "Stop asking questions. He's bleeding all over. Doctor, hurry up and get over here." Just then, Jaden hurried over and questioned, "Where's Joanne?" Bruce scowled and didn't answer. Jaden became impatient and grabbed Bruce's collar. "I'm talking to you. Where's Joanne?" "Joanna has been sent to the emergency room." "Let go of Bruce." Jaden's white shirt was also covered in blood. However, he ignored it and threatened, "If anything happens to Joanne, I won't let you get away with it." Bruce knew he was wrong. He could only sit on a stool outside the emergency room in dejection. Seeing that, Roxanne felt her heart grow cold. Judging from the situation, she could guess what Bruce had been up to last night. "Bruce, what's going on? How did you end up like this?" Margaret asked. "Stop asking me, Grandma. My mind is in a mess right now." Bruce held his head, looking despondent. "All right, I won't ask you anymore. You are injured all over your body. Hurry up, wounds treated." "No, how could you just let them be? Go right now, and have your..." Left with no choice, Bruce clenched his jaw and followed the doctor to get treated. Meanwhile, Jaden gave a cold snort and sat down on a stool on the other end. 30 minutes later, the emergency room door was opened, and a doctor came out. "Doctor, how is she?" "The patient's left arm is broken, and she's suffering from severe hypoglycemia. That's why she passed out. We're going to give her a plaster cast now." Hearing the noise, Bruce couldn't be bothered with his treatment and ran over. "How's Joanne? Is she okay?" As he spoke, he tried to barge into the emergency room. "Bruce, I'm warning you. Stay away from Joanne from now on. I'm also warning you to leave Joanna alone." The air between the two men turned hostile as they were ready to fight again. Several bodyguards quickly gathered around Jaden and surrounded him. Jaden usually didn't take bodyguards when he went out, so upon seeing the situation, he could only hold himself back and give up. Roxanne was upset. "Bruce, what's going on with you and Joanna?" Bruce took in a deep breath and looked at Roxanne calmly. "Let's break up." Chapter 49. Boom. His words struck Roxanne like lightning, and her heart dropped. Never had she thought that they would break up so suddenly. "Bruce, what are you talking about? You are emotionally unstable right now." "I said, let's break up." Roxanne bit her thin lip and burst into tears. "Bruce, no. Didn't we just talk about getting married the other day?" Bruce frowned and said in a cold voice, "I said, let's break up. Don't you know what the reason is?" Instinctively, Roxanne took 2 steps backward. Then, she stepped forward again and gripped Bruce's arm. "Bruce, even if Joanna was the one who saved you 10 years ago, are you going to throw away the relationship we've had for years?" Bruce looked stern and replied dryly, "Our relationship has been a mistake since the beginning." "No, it's not. You can't say goodbye to me for such a trivial thing." "I won't accept this. I won't." Roxanne swung Bruce's arm desperately as she got all worked up. "You do love me, Bruce. We are so in love. How can we break up so easily? I waited for you for 6 years, and now, you want to part with me." Roxanne's tears streamed down her face, and her slim body was quivering non-stop. As the bodyguards backed away, Margaret sighed without saying anything. She had never liked Roxanne from the start. After all, the latter had a bourgeois mother. However, Margaret did not want to interfere too much in her grandson's relationships, which was why she had always acted indifferent. Bruce also felt a bit bad. After all, he hurt Roxanne badly. I'll make it up to you with monetary compensation. Give me an amount. He'd agree to it as long as it was not too outrageous. Although they dated for 6 years, he never once touched her. At least he did not harm her or take advantage of her physically. No, I'm not breaking up with you. I won't accept this. I disagree. Have I waited for you for 6 years only to be dumped in the end? I'll never agree to break up with you. If you leave me, I'll surely make you regret it. Roxanne cried as she backed away. Then, she turned around and ran away. Ads by Pub Future. Roxanne. Seeing her in such a state of agitation, Bruce was worried that she would do something stupid. Just as he was about to go after her, the door to the emergency room was opened. A nurse pushed out a bed with Joanna sitting on it. Seeing that, Bruce immediately approached Joanna. Doctor, how is she? We already splinted her arm. She has to rest properly. She might have to wear the splint for a whole month. Bruce frowned at this and looked at Joanna's pale face. He felt his heart ache. Joanne, I'm sorry. Sadly, Joanna was still unconscious and wouldn't be able to hear his apology. Mr. Everett, please step aside first. We have to bring the patient to the ward. Oh, okay. Joanna was wheeled into the hospital room while Bruce stood by the doorway dejectedly. Joanne, I'm sorry. I only learned that I've been wrong all this time. I've been so stupid. I'll slowly make it up to you for the harm I've done to you. As he watched Joanna through the glass on the door of the ward, Bruce made up his mind to pursue Joanna and make her accept him again. After the nurses were done settling Joanna down, Andy rushed over. Mr. Everett, bad news. Bruce was startled. What is it? Ems. Haynes cut her wrist to end herself. What? Bruce's worst fear was that Roxanne would do such a thing. Unexpectedly, she really did it. Where is she? In a ward. I've just taken her there. Bruce rushed over to check after hearing that. After running out of the hospital, Roxanne slit her wrist on a whim. While it was impulsive, she also took into consideration the fact that she was at the hospital, a place where she could conveniently be treated. She didn't want to die. She just wanted to pressure Bruce. In fact, she only planned to cut her skin slightly. To her surprise, Andy appeared at that time. Upon seeing her holding a knife to her wrist, Andy was terrorized and rushed forward to stop her. In a state of panic, she mishandled the knife and cut her artery, causing blood to spurt out. Now, things turned dangerous for real. Roxanne rushed into a ward while the doctors hurriedly prepared an operating room. The patient is losing too much blood. Go and get more plasma. Stop the bleeding first. Bring me the hemostat. Bruce arrived at that moment. A nurse happened to come out of the operating room, so he asked her, "How's Roxy?" The patient's artery has been cut, and she is losing too much blood. She needs a blood transfusion. With that, the nurse sprinted to the blood bank. A chill ran down Bruce's spine when he heard the nurse. He lowered his head and banged it against the wall in dismay. Roxy, how can you be so stupid? Soon, Ingrid and Sean rushed to the hospital after being told their daughter had slashed her wrist. Clack, clack, clack. Ingrid's heels clicked loudly against the floor as she ran. Roxy, where's Roxy? The doctors are saving her. My goodness, why did Roxy suddenly think of doing something like this? She was fine just earlier. Bruce stayed silent as he kept his head lowered with a sorrowful expression. Did you reason? Do something to hurt Roxy, Bruce. Otherwise, why would she try to take her own life for no? Bruce did not say anything. He didn't try to deny nor explain himself. Seeing his tacit agreement, Ingrid felt her heart jolt. When Roxanne came home the day before, she had asked Ingrid what she should do as it seemed like Bruce was going to break up with her. At that time, Ingrid thought her daughter was joking. Now, it seemed like Bruce really did ask to break up.